From the magnificent Midwest, it's the Suzanne Venker Show, where men and women are equal in value but wildly different by nature. Join us here every week as we challenge the culture's hugely flawed narratives about men, women, sex, and love. From coast to coast and from around the world, thank you for joining us. So, hey everyone, I have a guest with me today, which I do not normally do anymore. I used to do it all the time if you're old Suzanne Venker show listeners. But so if you are, you will recognize this person. And I'm really pumped to have him back on because I do miss him. And I wanted to do this episode with no one else. So welcome back to the show, Andre Paradis.
Hi, good morning. It's been a while.
Yeah, I think, you'll be introduced new to some people.
Sweet.
So I should let you just go ahead and do your quick 1 minute of who you are and where they can find you in case you are new to those people.
Nice. So my name is Andre Paradis. I'm a relationship coach. I'm an NLP coach, educator of effective communication strategies. That's good, huh? That sounds good, doesn't it? But
alliteration.
Communications is really the part where most of us fail in all relationships. I got a couple of books out there, and I'm also an ordained minister. So some of I don't know if you know this, I just came back from Vegas 3 weeks ago to marry a couple that were clients.
That's so great.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to Texas in 2 weeks to do another one. So it's like
my. What part?
I don't know. We're landing in Dallas, and it's an hour and a half drive to wherever they are.
My daughter's there, so I was just there.
Yeah, no, it's.
Well, tell everybody your address. Well, your website, I guess. Website address.
The website is projectequinox.net. And everything is on there. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube, YouTube Shorts.
All of it.
A lot of blogging.
Good.
And a lot of podcasts. If you actually just podcast Google my name with podcast.
Yeah.
Avalanche. And so I give you a sense of what I'm up to. And
so everybody, real quick, it's Andre Paradis, Paradis, and it's projectequinox.net. And he was on with me a couple years ago, often. And then, of course, this podcast has changed. Some people are new to this podcast and some people go way back. So they'll, some will, recognize you and some won't. But anyway, it's all good. Okay. So I wanted to invite you on, Andre, to talk about the all too familiar sexual dynamic.
Ooh.
Yep. In which women behave in a way that often, I came up with this word. I mean, I didn't come up with a word. I used this word and I started laughing, thinking people are going to think I'm an old fuddy-duddy, that befuddles men. Befuddles men who don't understand why she's acting the way she is. And that sometimes even the women, this is key, don't even know why they are acting as they are, right?
Ooh. Yep.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is Andre and I are going to explain that this extremely common dynamic is in fact biological at its core and not simply a matter of bad behavior. I feel like my voice changed, but maybe it didn't. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And I also want to focus on marriage or long-term relationships, not on dating when it comes to this dynamic, because I think the dating phase is very different from commitment. And things, that. So it's just so different. So I'm not even going to go there because you could have a whole episode just on the dating dynamic with with what we're talking about. But I just don't want to do that. We're going to talk about marriage. So I want to start, Andre, with the most obvious, wonderful analogy that you do so well because you and your wife are dancers. And that is the dance analogy. So let's just go ahead and open up because I think most people can definitely relate to that.
So you want me to do what?
Yeah, just explain how the dance analogy that you often use it
fits with the relationship.
Fits with the topic that we're talking about with the sexual dynamic.
Absolutely. I mean, in my world, again, coming from, if you look behind me, this is me, my wife dancing, ballroom dancing.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Look at that. It's wild.
It's wild.
And the metaphors, since that was my background with what I'm doing now, are so fantastic because if you look at a dance couple, a ballroom dancing, ballroom dancers, there's no equality in that. Right?
Yep.
They're two completely different entities coming together to create the dance. Well, relationships are two different, completely opposite entities coming together to create a partnership. What he needs she doesn't have what she has, he does, right? And it's the coming together that is the magic, that is a partnership. So what I'm teaching is in our culture, we have this concept of, whoever leads is better. Whoever is in charge, right? Whoever leads with the masculine energy is better. And to be feminine is weak, is lame, it doesn't get you anywhere. And well, no, no, right?
That's not it.
So when you look at the, like I said, a ballroom couple, when I'm dancing with my wife, you think she's passive? Not 1 second. So she's open, vulnerable, and receptive to my leadership. And as a male, as a leader in this dynamic, and again, the same thing for relationships, I have to be conscious to lead her with sensitivity. Because like dancing in the relationship, I could overcrank her, I could overpower her, I could actually hurt her physically.
Yeah.
So there's that building of a flow of a communication, of an understanding, of a dynamic where I lead with a certain sensitivity for her comfort, so she can let go, relax, be vulnerable, trust me also that I'm not going to spin her into a wall or a table or another couple, right? So there's a letting go from her side that's very vulnerable, but the moment she does allow me to take her on an adventure on the dance floor, she's completely free. She's literally out of her head into her body. Her femininity exudes. No one's looking at me. No one is. I'm doing all the work, right? I'm doing all the work on some, because I'm doing the driving. She gets to let go and be open and vulnerable and trusting. And also, she shines, she glows, she squeals sometimes. So, but she's completely free and feminine, and no one's looking at me. So that dance, the idea of the leader wins everything, and this is in our culture. We teach women, go girl, badass, don't need no man, you take it over, you lead, and what they don't understand is who's going to support. And often women who lead in life will end up with boys who will be the girl who will acquiesce and let go and sort of like let them, and that works dynamically for a while, except eventually the woman loses respect for that. And there's a lot of statistic on this. To this day, even strong, independent, powerful women who don't need no man and make money still would rather have a man at the helm of the family. Boom.
So that's fantastic. And I want everyone to be thinking about the dance analogy as we go through this, because it's perfect. Because when you bring yourself back to, that's all I'm going for. I'm not going for suppression, oppression, power. That's not it. So that's why I wanted to start with that beautiful analogy, because I think that everybody at their core wants that, Andre. I just don't think they have any idea how to go about getting it.
That's it. That's the entire work. They don't know how to do it.
So and of course that's mine as well. So that's why we're here together. And so I'm going to set it up a little bit about explaining what women instinctively want and what they're looking for. I've called this episode, "Why Does My Wife Do That?" Because because
sorry.
I know I want it to speak to, both partners. I want them both here listening to this, but I want to channel it a little bit more to the men who honestly don't know why their wives act as they do and what they're supposed to do in response. And I've talked a lot about this of growing up with this dynamic. So it's very close to me. I can see it clear as day in my upbringing. So it's personal. And even if I didn't, I think we all struggle in this way, or have in this culture that we've just described, where we're trying to reverse that and say it doesn't matter who is leading in the dance. And so women have listened to that, and they're in those relationships, and now they are stuck. And by the way, so are the men. So it's all backwards, right? So let's talk about the biological need that is never going away, that is just nature, that we are up against today because of our culture. Women are instinctively attracted to strength, to strong men, to power and strength in their men, especially their man. They want to know that he is strong enough to defend her, and that he can take charge and handle his life and their life, whether it's money, career, stress, emotions, decision making, all of that. And when he can, she can then relax. She even wants to know that he can stop her, and this gets tricky and provocative, that he can stop her from doing things that aren't good for her. Because we live in a world that tells women they should be able to do whatever they want and to never let a man get in their way. And instinctively, they actually want their man to provide a boundary and say no. So it's very complicated. This is what we're going to talk about. But I'm just setting up the idea that this is what the desire is, and that when a man shows up in this way, she feels safe. And then when she feels safe, she can be comfortable and relax.
And become feminine and warm and loving and
fun, lovable,
all of that stuff,
silly,
all the stuff that men actually want from their wives and women.
And I'm convinced that of all the people that you and I talk to that are struggling with this, and all the people that we don't talk to that are struggling with this, they know what we mean when they can envision a time when they're soft and fun with their spouse, with their man, with their husband, and husbands know what I'm talking about. And then when the fangs come out. And the goal, and we all have experienced it. It's not like anybody's exempt from this. You've been married 30 years. We're about to celebrate our 25th this month. And congrats, by the way.
Beautiful.
We have to meet sometime. We really do.
I know.
I know. Except I hate California, but that's another conversation.
Hey.
Well, LA anyway. I have no desire to go to LA.
I was sitting in the sun this morning before this.
I know.
For an hour.
Yeah. The weather. You're right. The weather part, I will give you that.
Thank you.
But we've all experienced it and struggled through it ourselves to some degree. There are various degrees of this, but most people know what we're talking about. And so the goal is to get to this happy place where it's like this dance that you've described. So if you're a man listening to this, if you're a husband, think back to a time when your wife felt like, like we were talking about, like putty in your hands, soft, warm, lovable. It was likely at the beginning of the relationship for sure, right? Wouldn't you say, Andre? Do you ever meet anybody who didn't start out in that way?
No, that's how we started. That's the reason why we get hitched, because it's working. It's beautiful. We get what we want on both sides. It works.
And I think it's important for husbands to think about what they were like at that time. What was different about them, if anything? Because it is likely, from what I have seen, that over time, and you can tell me what you see, they have become too conciliatory toward their wives out of deference to what they think is her desire to be in control of everything, because she's letting them know that, according to him, even though it's likely that she's doing that because she's afraid he won't step up, right? So this is the issue.
Oy.
And that he's appearing weak as a result of that. And that's what's causing her to react. So what are some examples, Andre, of what they're inadvertently might have been doing over the years to have that, to give their wife that impression?
Well, what I see a lot is, genetically, if we're talking about biologically, and, I call it the caveman, cavewoman default system that we think we're outgrew, and we're so much better than that now. We're educated and evolved and sophisticated, and we're still at the base, driven by our instinct.
Yep.
And it's not obvious until I keep pointing it out to my clients. Like, see, you're doing this. What's that come from? Anthropology, instinct, hunter gatherer, whatever. So one of the things that no one really gets is if instinctively men are not built to fight with women.
100%.
Not built to fight. We're built to provide and protect and make her safe and happy, simplicity. So when she's upset, it pushes back. Like we don't want to be around that. When she's upset, it pushes me back. I'll go to the garage. I'll go to the freaking store. And often women complain that when I need him the most is when he disappears, not understanding that's what's happening. Number two is because we're not made to fight. The actual fighting will make most men completely shut down. They don't go out, you know what I mean? They don't go after her. They don't go, you're wrong, right? They literally just sort of, which to a woman doesn't work, right?
Bingo.
Fight.
That makes her more mad. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
mad's not the right word. More unsafe. Let's use that word. Sorry.
Right. So the more she seems to overpower him, the less safe she feels, and the more angry she gets. Men, I don't know if you're listening, you'll have a taste of this. Get this, before we take it to the extreme. You know, women who physically beat their husband in public sometimes are trying to wake him the hell up and have him fight back and stop her. This is a cavewoman thing as well, right? Like she's so freaked out. She's now so afraid. He's so weak. She's so out of her mind, afraid. She's beating on him, trying to get him to push back. You know, and that's the result of extremely what I just talked about, of not standing your ground and say, no, that's enough. No, we're not doing that. Stop, no, stop, no, right? And just resist. And now it seems rude on some level, right? But it's actually how you save a woman from really losing it. You just sort of, you got to.
It's also having boundaries. It's having your own boundaries,
right?
You know, it's okay to talk about women having boundaries, but we don't talk about men's boundaries.
Oh, how dare you, right? But my point is, you know, and that's stopping her. This is how you rescue her, and again, this is how you stay the rock that she can respect, and that often will stop the storm. Do you know what I mean? If you if you hold your space and not acquiesce. So, but again, instinct is to go, not to fight, and to stop it and to go back to harmony. Men don't push back, which makes it worse. So, you get it.
Now let's talk a little bit about some of those behaviors that before it gets to the point when she's lashing out. For example, I'm just thinking of some things in this unhealthy dynamic. That will cause this. Being wishy-washy about your opinions, not being clear about what you want. Basically, anything that's not clear, strong, direct, concise. Yes, not, you know, and if it's no, that's fine. No, yes, not, maybe, we'll think about it, I'll see. Even if it can't be right then, say, I can't do that today, but I'll do it Friday.
Right.
Anything that's super clear, if you're not clear, that's part of the strength that she's looking for.
Right. Decisiveness is sexy.
Yep.
Right, absolutely. So you just, you know, like I have a men's group, and I train young men and mentor them into this kind of dynamic understanding. You know, I said, get rid of I'll try, I'll see, maybe later, I don't know. Right? You get rid of all that shit with your wife, because she's going to, you know, your girlfriend, because that makes her feel like you're just a noodle. And again, she'd rather you say yes or no.
No.
You respect that.
Or not now, but later, or this day, or that day. Yeah.
You know, I can't commit. Let me think about it. I'll tell you tomorrow.
Yep.
Like, just make it tangible that you're managing it. And for her, that's sexy, as opposed to I'll try. Like the word I think I'll try is something we should eliminate from our language completely.
I could
with anybody
not agree more. I could not agree more.
You want to come to my event? Let me see. I'll try. Just I
wish people could see your face.
You say no.
Say no. If you're not
say no. I don't care.
I mean, even if you don't know, you can say, let me think about that. Sounds interesting. I'll get back with you tomorrow.
Yeah, and somebody
did anything that's clear.
Somebody did that to me yesterday. You know, I'm not sure on Saturday, but I'll let you know tomorrow. Boom.
That's it.
I can respect that. Anyway.
Okay, so that's one example. Another one is, and this is a big one for wives, because I hear it constantly, is, of course, and you do too, letting all the decision making fall to her. Now we need to focus on this a little bit, Andre, because this is what I can hear the men now going, but she has so many, she's always making the decision. She's one step ahead of me. It's done. Like, where is there space for me to? And then you're saying she wants me to. What the hell am I supposed to do with that? I can hear them asking that now.
Yep. Well, so what happens is, this is terrible, and it's just what it is. At the same time, it seems ridiculous. But ladies, if you got it, he's not going to fight you for it. So, you know, sometimes, and I hear this, how many times do I hear this? Well, you know, if I have to freaking ask, you know, it's much easier for me to just do it, right? And then because sometimes it's the actual thing that needs to be done, or it has to be done just your way, which then you have to explain it just your way, which he's not going to do it your way, by the way. If you want some help, give it to that. Like, let go of that. Let go of your way. Like, let him do it his way. So you'll feel respected in that. So the idea of I got it, right? Like, I don't want to ask. I don't want to beg. I don't want to ask 3 times. So I'll do it myself. What happens to men is they think you like it. It's obvious that she wants to mow the lawn. Look, she just goes to the garage and grabs a lawnmower. Like, you know, like that's kind of my job. And I guess she likes it. Like that's how far it goes. Like it sounds ridiculous, and
Mhm.
you would think, well, how like man up or do you? But I'm telling you, if you don't ask and you just, I got it. This is your life. You got it. He'll let you do it.
And on the other side, you mean you're talking about the man saying,
The
"I got it."
men,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now
no,
on
no,
the other side,
no. When the women say I got it, men won't fight you
oh yeah,
for it.
yeah, yeah. So right, so, which I assume you're leading up to. So don't do it, right?
Yes, yes. Don't
and,
do
and
it.
and I was coming up. I was having such a hard time thinking of the right word when I talk to women and say, "Just stop stepping in and doing it, and then someone's going to have to do it." And I thought, what is that word? I'm like, stop being so competent.
Right.
And I thought, well, that talk about countercultural. Women are supposed to do everything themselves.
Right. Well, that's
Stop
part of
being
it.
so damn competent, because there's no space for him to come in and do it for you. So if that's or with you, or however you want to describe it,
Mm.
as long as you're doing it all, it ain't ever happening on him. So you cannot complain simultaneously that he's not, when you've literally squeezed him out.
I'll give you an example. It is just so ridiculous. It's beautiful, but that's sort of happening. So I had a client, these couples, and she's like, he's sitting on the couch. I go to the store. I come back with groceries, and the first thing she gets out of the car is a case of water.
Oh,
The
that's
big
too
case of
heavy.
water.
That is way too heavy.
It's
Yeah, it's
awkward, it
heavy.
flexes, right?
Yeah.
And she's sitting on the couch, and she decided she didn't ask for his help, right? She tried to play like, let's see what kind of man he is, a little bit of a test. So walks in the house with the case squeaking in front of him, and he just looked at her all the way, right? Nothing. And she's like, "What kind of, And they had an argument. And it's his thought when he saw that. Get this, she didn't ask for his help. His thought was like, "Wow, look at her go! Wow, look at her go!" He was impressed, but he had no urge to step up necessarily in that moment, anyway, because she had it. She didn't ask.
Yeah.
She's managing it, right? And if she said, like, "Could you help me?"
Yeah.
He would have jumped up. But like,
Right.
by the
And
time
yeah.
he realized what's happening, he's like, he was
Yeah.
impressed. Like,
Yeah.
wow, look at her go!
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's a really good example, because you're like, okay, at what point could we have changed this scenario?
Ask.
Because, well, yes, obviously she could have asked from the get-go, and she's just, instead of asking, she's doing it to see if he'll jump in.
Yep.
And of course that gets into, well, what has their dynamic been all this time? Because
Yep.
chances are you've set it up this way for years. You can't
Yep.
just expect him to yeah. Okay.
And then so what's happening is those little things that he won't see as obvious, right? Now
Yeah.
she goes super obvious in the case of water, but the dynamic is in place where she got it. Like, she doesn't ask. So his thinking is not necessarily what does she need, it's
Yeah.
she never needs anything ever.
I would really encourage couples to not try to play the game to see what each other's going to do, and to just flat out sit down and say, guess what? I don't like this dynamic. I want to change it. Here's what I think we need to do. Can you help me? Or something. Like, just announce that you don't like it and make a plan to change it, and talk about why you're that way if you want. I mean, this is basically kind of what happened with my husband and me over the years. Slowly, whenever we'd each feel this issue rear its head, and we didn't want it, so we got on it right away, and it just took a long time. So that's why I feel so strongly about it, because I get it. But there's nothing wrong with announcing it, rather than just trying to play the game and see what he does. Just communicate. This is, if Bill were here, that's all he ever says is communication. You cannot over communicate, which, I don't know, maybe you can, but I'd rather err on the side of over communicating. Let's put it that way. That's what he always says, than under communicating.
No, I mean, and I call that being gamey, right? We're playing little games to see how the other one's going to react, if they care, if they're paying attention, if they're really, and then you make a conclusion about this, right? He must really not respect and love me if he's going to watch me struggle and sort of act like it's okay. So who the hell did I marry, and all that stuff.
And that stuff's just going to sit inside and kill you. You're going to just be eaten up with resentment. Just say, I don't like this. I'm sorry that it's come to this. I don't know what. You can go back in your childhoods if you want, or you can not, and just say, let's move toward this. And this means I'm going to have to do this, and you're going to have to behave this way. And you just each worry about yourselves and what you should or shouldn't be bringing to the table. And it's going to be a lot of back and forth for a long time, depending on how deep in this dynamic is.
I teach women to invite men to help and step up, as opposed to even wait till you're frustrated and go, you know what, this is crap. I need your help. I need this. Like when you're angry, edgy, and become commanding, you typically get less.
100%.
Because
100%.
men do not take commands, especially from their wives or women or anybody. Actually, by the way, the masculine, ultimate masculine, does not obey anybody. So even in a dynamic of partnership, if you say, "I need you to," "I want you to," that's all leaning on him. That's his mother, and you typically get less, not because he's a jerk, because he's a man. Now, if he's a man, right? Because it could be a boy. That's different. Boys will become passive aggressive, and that's even worse. So you can't wait for you to be frustrated and get in his face and decide and tell him that you're sick of it and it's got to be different. No, that doesn't work either. You're going to find yourself even more frustrated because he won't respond to that instinctively, naturally. So, yes.
But here's what he will respond to.
What I was going to say is you can't tell him anything. You can't ask for more, different, better, anything. You're going to get less. That's the masculine reaction to a command. Because even an ask lands like a command or a demand. You get less. So what I teach my ladies, communication stuff, is to be an invitation for him to change. It's a very different language. It's very specific, and it works because it pulls at his instinct to fix, to make you happy in the fact that he's going to fix something and adjust something for your comfort, for your happiness. That's how it works. And again, you don't have to teach anything to him. You do this, it will instinctively respond. This is the stuff that I teach. Like but you both don't have to know how to do this. As long as one does.
That's right. No, right.
The other one
you don't.
Respond.
So I was going to say, accentuating your feminine traits is so automatic that if you just, whether you're comfortable or not, just do it, you'll see how quick he responds.
Instantly.
Now, what is that? What does that mean? Soft, receptive, slow, dresses instead of pants. I'm thinking of anything I can think of.
Yeah, but I think for me, it's energetically, right? Energetically.
Yeah, let's talk about that energy for a minute.
Don't lead in. Ladies, you taught to lead in, handle, manage, go, demand what you want. You have the right to, you blah, blah. Yeah, that's beautiful everywhere in the world, in life, except with him. You can't lean on him. He will lean back. You will get less. So energetically, leaning in on him is masculine. In order for him to respond, you want to be feminine, inviting, warm. So instead of a command, it's an invitation, which looks like, babe, I'm not really comfortable with this. It makes me feel like blank. Is there, if you could find a way to step in, help me out, right? Adjust, that would make me feel really great. And you'd be my hero. Hero language is always beautiful for men. That triggers their hero mechanism. So you invite him by his action to adjust something by himself. He needs to choose to, not your command. Right? That's triggering the hero in him. And then that, all of a sudden, he'll go, and he'll do it out of natural service, right? We're devoted to our wives and women. So it pulls at that instinct. And all of a sudden, you go, and he goes, so like this?
What's that?
He'll go something like this? Did that work? Is that good?
Yeah.
Right? He'll check with you, like,
yeah.
Right?
As opposed to charging back because you made a command and saying,
no, if you make it, and some guys, when you do the command and asking for more, different, better, whatever, they'll go stone face, and you won't get it. Like, he won't tell you, no, I'm not.
So a lot of people, Andre, they'll say, the women will say, well, they don't know how to appear what they think is weak, which is what we mentioned before.
Yeah.
And so I try to explain it's the softer approach rather than the I don't know how else to say it. It's soft and vulnerable and sweet, the way you would be. And when I tell them to do this is where it works. And I'm sure you probably did this too. Think back to when you first were dating. It's very simple. Yeah. You talked very differently. You did instinctively. That's
Yeah.
what you want to try to pull on
Right.
now.
But yeah, women will say stuff like, though, but when I ask him, I have to remind him 16 times now I'm nagging. And I go, yeah, because you're asking. Stop freaking asking and fight him. There's a magical language with this. I'm not comfortable with this. Would you, I don't want to feel like this. You know, it makes me feel like, tell him what's going on with you, why it's not working for you.
I'm
And
sad. I'm
I'm
sad.
sad. It makes me angry. It makes me insecure. It makes me lose respect for you. Like whatever the feeling is that's so, and in that moment, you're not pointing the finger at him that there's something wrong with him. Is you telling him how you feel and what's not working. That makes him feel bad, as opposed to trying to mother him and pointing the finger in his face. That's never going to work, right? Same guy, two different reactions, completely per your words and energy. And when you tell him how you feel, what you're uncomfortable with, what doesn't work for you, what you don't want, you don't want to feel like this, be talked to like this, whatever, that triggers is like feeling bad, a little bit of shame. If you could just, take a look at this, pay attention to this, maybe figure out maybe some place where we could have a little more time together. I would really love that. And when he makes the correction, because if he cares for you, he will make the correction.
Thank him.
Then you go,
Compliment him.
thank
Say,
him,
go
thank
over
him
the,
that
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
notice, of course,
yeah.
right? That's appreciation for a man. When you appreciate a man, he feels respected. When you appreciate a woman, she feels cherished.
So all of this, I don't feel like we can be doing this deep dive and this dynamic without
Yeah,
talking about the number one problem that's keeping women from being able to do this, which you
let's
alluded
go.
to in the dance analogy, and that, of course, is trust. And there are so many legitimate reasons why, and I'm going to focus on women here for a minute. I'm sure men have their own trust issues, but let's just focus on women for a minute. Products of divorce,
Mhm,
trauma in the past,
mhm,
all related to men.
mhm.
There are legit reasons why you struggle. And I'm sympathetic toward that. I get it. But at the end of the day, there is no other way out of this negative dynamic but to have trust. So if you don't trust, that's at the core of where you're driving your own boat. And so you cannot really complain about what you're getting from that end because you're putting up a wall that's keeping yourself from getting what you ultimately want.
Amen. That's where I start my clients, like, getting rid of the baggage of the past, your childhood, the bad relationships, the abuse, the neglect, the abandonment, whatever it is. I can't help anybody being in a healthy relationship until you're cleaned up.
Yeah.
We have to clean the baggage
Mhm.
and then learn like what works in relationships, and the whole dance thing has to be taught because nobody knows how. And by the way, man, part of the reason why women have no idea what men want, because men don't can't explain. It's a yes or
Bingo. That's
no.
that.
Men cannot explain.
Yes.
It's not working for them. They're just like, men are very
They,
binary. It's yes or
yes,
no. It's in or
100%.
out.
Yeah.
So I have my clients who go on dates with women and they go, how'd it go? Right? Because she was this, she was that, she was enchanting. You liked her. You want to find out more about her. They go on a date. How'd it go? She was lovely, but I go, but what? He goes, I don't know. Like, it was like something, I don't know. She wasn't really, no, she was pretty, she was nice with it, but energetically, this is when pick up, especially on, in the first few dates. Men are very aware of the energy that comes at them in the beginning. We don't drive our lives through through our feelings. However, on a date, in the presence of a woman, we're very aware of how it feels to be with her.
Yeah.
So if she's cool, smart, pretty, whatever, but she's got a chip on her shoulder, I get the feeling that she didn't like to be there, or if you hate dating, ladies, this is what he's going to pick up. And you don't
Yeah.
get a second date, right? And again, energy behind it. So it's interesting. As simple
It
as
is
it is on some
interesting.
level.
And
But
again,
men can't explain it. You're yes or you're no. He's
yeah.
in or he's out,
Yeah.
and he can't
Yeah.
explain any of it. This is
Mm-mm.
the stuff that I teach, because like women don't know what men want, and men can't explain it. That's the big problem.
Yep. That is the big problem. Okay. So, but I want to give people concrete things they can do
Yes,
before we sign off on,
yes.
what are these behaviors and actions. So let's talk about the men for a second. So
Yes.
I'm going back to, so what do I do when my wife is behaving in a way that confounds me and I consider inappropriate? Because what we don't want them to do is to back down or to put up with it.
Yes.
But when people hear that, they'll think, well, what's the alternative? What do you do? So go.
Right. Well, if you're the man, right? So when I was going to give you the example earlier, one of my clients, 10 years married. She used to be loving and sweet and kind and loving and fun and blah blah blah. Now he says, I come home, she goes, oh, it's you, and goes in the kitchen. He
Are
goes,
you saying metaphorically, or she actually
no,
says
no, he actually did that, right? And he's like, well, I don't know what happened to my wife. I go, really? You don't know what happened? She obviously doesn't feel some level safe. That you care for her? Probably take it for granted. Doesn't get the time and attention that she needs to stay connected and feel safe with you, right? That's what's going on. I want to say dumbass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what's the action that you stop doing, or the fact that she's showing you that's not working?
What
So
changed? Yeah.
what changes? You
Mm-hmm.
got passive, or you complacent. Now, something I want to say that's interesting. I think it's really, really interesting that part of that mechanism that women really have such a problem with is that we do we do partnership. Well, I explain this way. Women's relationship model requires a lot of attention, connection, detail, continuity, constant flow, right? If you have a girlfriend from high school that you don't talk to regularly, you will slip away. And you'll say, well, we lost touch, we don't talk, she doesn't know what's happening in my life. So the relationship sort of like is not. Are you with me?
Yep.
For us males, our relationships with men requires zero maintenance.
Yeah.
So my buddy from high school that I haven't seen in 15 years, we don't talk, we don't text, we don't say happy birthday, we don't do none of that crap. I go home after 15 years, and I go to his house, knock on the door, and we're right back. Men's relationship requires no maintenance. So we're buddies for life, and we don't need maintenance. You ladies need constant maintenance for it to stay real, connected. Otherwise, you don't have a relationship. So this is what we do in our lives, right? I married you. It's done.
Yeah.
I come
But it's
home
not
every
done.
night, right? But you know what I mean? That's from
It's
the
not
men's
done.
perspective. That's
Right.
what I teach men. Like,
Right.
I come home every night. What the hell else do you want? I work for us, right? And women like, oh, I want to kill them, right? Like it's so crass and right, not understanding. It's done. Like I made the commitment. I married you. I am this. It's done. So the idea of maintenance for us, it doesn't record until I tell the man
Explain.
he needs constant connection. She needs constant, reassurance. She needs to know that you still pick her almost every day. She needs that. Otherwise, she have the problem that you're having. Right?
Yeah. And one
Now,
of the easiest. Go ahead.
I
I
was
was going
gonna
to
say,
say.
like, what was fun with him is like what he kind of understood her instincts, connection, safety, not and cherished, appreciated for all that she does. She now greets him at the door with a smile and sometimes a glass of wine. Same woman. She doesn't know what he did, but he did it. You know what I mean? Like you understand the part that he wasn't doing.
So I want to play devil's advocate. So I'm going to be a man now.
Bring it.
So
Yeah.
Andre, so what specifically? I need an action, Andre. What do you mean? What am I supposed to do? And how often? How many times a week? Give me more.
Right. So if you understand that she needs connection to you to feel safe and relax and become feminine and just literally relax your nervous system, that she feels safe because my man takes the time to talk to me every day and say 10 minutes, you guys, not an hour, 10 minutes. How was your day? What happened? What's going on? This is what happened with me, right? Anything to move and connect by talking. Make her talk a little bit. Now, again, like we have to come in the middle. There's our way, no maintenance. Her way, too much maintenance, according to us. Sweet spot, where it keeps everything balanced and flowing. So I said something, and again, we have another thing going with men that women don't understand. Are you ready? This is really fun. That we instinctively, masculinity quantifies everything. quantify everything. Big work, big money. Big effort, big rewards. Little effort, not worth very much. Women say, I need so very little, right? It's the small thing that counts, right? We don't know what the hell that means. So I teach men. Are you ready? So simple. She feels disconnected. She feels taken for granted. She feels she don't care. She doesn't feel cherished. She's resentful. I go, get this. Middle of the day, you text her. Hey, babe, thinking about you. Can't wait to see you.
So easy.
And they look at me like, huh? Because it's so stupidly simple and it costs nothing. We don't understand that that would actually work because it's not quantifiable enough. Like men don't understand that one rose will give them as many points and kisses and goodies that 3 dozen. But we think 3 dozen is better because look at the size of it, right? That we don't understand that little, the thought that counts. We quantify everything. So
that's good.
That's one of the disconnect.
I think a really quick, helpful tool, like overnight kind of thing, can be those love languages as well. When we finally kind of determine, I mean, only in that, for example, I'll just throw this out. And then we are going to have to close this out in a few minutes because I have another appointment. I'm so sorry. I know I'm going to hear from people. They'll be like, bring him back. So we will. So don't anybody freak out on me. But, like my husband he likes things verbalized. I'm not a verb. I need time and attention, so that I forget what it is, affirmation versus quality time or whatever you want. Yep. Everything you're saying turns me around overnight. Turn off your phone. And by the way, when you give those 10 minutes to your wife, it cannot be with your phone in your hand or a TV on or kids in the midst. We're talking nothing and nobody else, nothing but quiet and the two of you facing each other. I become putty in Bill's hands. This took him a long time to realize, and then he saw how immediate that was. He would like more affirmation, and I'm not good with that because I don't need it. So I'm going around giving what I want or what's natural to me, and he's doing what he wants, and it's not matching up.
That's all we do all the time. That's the part you have to look at. Like, no maintenance, constant maintenance, right? No words, needs words. No need connection. I need connect. Like you understand where that's the opposition. That's the freaking dance. That's the point. Understanding that we tend to do what works for us is, and I say typically do exact opposite than what works for you. You'd be closer to the target. We have to meet in the middle. Understand that our differences are beautiful and made for polarity and keep us together. And we have to understand enough to give the partner what works for them.
So I feel like I'm cutting this short and I don't want to, and I have so much more to cover, but I can't right now. So we are going to do a part 2 of this conversation. So just everyone know that this is not the end, and Andre will be back and we'll continue forward. So is there anything you want to add before we jump off here, Andre?
So I have live events every 3 months or so. So if anybody is going to be in the Los Angeles area, if you're in Los Angeles, I have an event next Saturday in North Hollywood called the Dance of Relationships, where we talk about that, the dancing and the dynamic, and actually more the energy that you bring, right? Your energy introduces you before you walk in the room or you open your mouth. So most of us are unaware of that energy. So in that workshop, we'll actually have a visceral experience of what it's like to be in your energy, and and understand how people perceive you, something that we're all blind to. So that's going to be fantastic. And we're going to go into the dynamic of men and women and Q&A and have couples coming and singles and blah. So that's one. But also, if anybody's listening and curious, if anything resonated and you're curious and want to talk to me about it, if you go to Andre Coaching 1.
So Andre Coaching 1, is that what you said?
Andre Coaching 1 at gmail.com is my email. If you send me an email and say, talk now, I will send you a Zoom link for us to have a conversation about, one-on-one, what you challenged with, what you want to talk about, and how it can help. So that's like an hour call. It's free. And also, if some people just want information, because there's 2 types of people listen to podcasts, if you Andre Coaching 1 at Gmail and send in the title, write Irresistible Book. I have a book called The 5 Qualities That Men Find Irresistible in Women, and I'll send it to you for free.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. So maybe, when you come back, we'll pick up, I wrote this down, talking about energy. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful.
Among the other things that we didn't get to. So apologize for that, but it'll be great. See you soon.
Goodbye.
And yeah, till then. And that ends this hour of the Suzanne Venker Show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and to leave us a review, as well as share this episode with a friend. As always, you may reach me with any questions or comments at Suzanne@thesuzannevenkershow.com. And if you would like to support this podcast, which would be very much appreciated, you can do so at patreon.com/The Suzanne Venker Show. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.